Welcome back to Peek into COS. Today we are joined by Jon Jager and Alex Kovacs from the Colorado Springs Airport. Welcome.
Thank you.
Great to have you both here.
Thank you for the invite.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a lot to talk to our listeners about our local airport, which we'll count how many times we use the word love and small in the next half hour. But before we get started, let's learn a little bit about the two of you. Let our listeners find out who are these guys that are running our airport. Alex, we'll start with you.
Sure. Alex Kovacs. I'm the current Director of Aviation for the Colorado Springs Airport. Started my career a good number of years ago, almost 18 years now. It was September 2008 when I started working as a financial analyst for the Reno Tahoe Airport Authority, and I was there until 2024 when I decided to move to Colorado Springs. I did all kinds of finance-related jobs.
Yep.
When I left, I was Director of Finance in Reno and started here in Colorado Springs as an assistant director. I was focusing on finance, properties, construction and design, those kind of areas. Yeah. And in February of last year, I actually stepped into the interim airport director role and then went through the process of, evaluating candidates and so on and so forth. And I'm fortunate to say that I was selected for that role in about September of last year, and here we are.
Here we are, doing a podcast.
Having fun.
Having fun. Great. And Jon, I know you came up from Dallas.
Yes. So I've been here with Colorado Springs Airport in the manager of air service development role since December 2024.
Yep.
Definitely not new to the industry. I've been doing airline and airport things since June of 1998. So was that 28 years we're working on right now. Spent 10 years at Southwest Airlines in their network planning, their revenue management team, and also 10 years at Dallas-Fort Worth Airport as their manager of air service development. So similar job, different opportunities and problems between this job here in Colorado Springs and Dallas.
Sure. Well, we're fortunate to have both of you here, and I really appreciate you getting a chance to, talk to our listeners who are both residents of COS and in Southern Colorado, as well as visitors who are thinking about coming back. And so we're going to talk about that. Our airport, we have a group sales team, and they go to trade shows, and they'll stand in a booth, and it's kind of fun. They'll just say, "Oh, there's always two questions. Where exactly is Colorado Springs, and do you have an airport?" And so it's really easy to answer both by telling them exactly where we are located. About an hour south of Denver. Everybody kind of knows that proximity. But our airport, at times, not everybody knows about regional airports. And so we are really, really proud to tell people of our airport and why we always fly in and out of our airport, and it's how we get to these trade shows. But so much has happened to our Fly COS airport since 2021. Let's talk a little bit, because that was the year, and I tell people proudly, the best thing that happened during the pandemic was when we got a phone call from Southwest Airlines and said, "Hey, we've got some planes on the ground that we're thinking about. Would you guys be interested?" So yeah, we just had the 5-year anniversary. We're recording this in March of 2026. Let's talk about what's happened to our airport since Southwest arrived.
Absolutely. So yes, it happened as a result of the pandemic. People were looking to travel to places they deemed safe, clean, fresh air type cities.
Outdoors, right?
Exactly. Colorado Springs fits the bill. Southwest added a lot of cities like Colorado Springs. They started flying to Montana, other cities in Colorado as well. They started flying to as well. They launched 2 weeks ago, Wednesday, 5 years ago, service
March 11th.
March 11th to 5 or 6 of their largest focus cities. They don't use the word hubs, but Denver, Phoenix, Las Vegas, Dallas, Chicago. And they have been growing and trying new things ever since then. What's great is that Colorado Springs is now plugged into their network of up to almost about 200 cities that you can get to, either nonstop or with one connection, not just here in the U.S., but also internationally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's I had gotten here in 2011, and when I first started in this job, it seemed like it was almost a weekly question when we would talk about the airport. So have you guys ever thought about, have you ever talked to Southwest Airlines about coming to Colorado Springs? And whether it was the mayor or whomever, they'd always say, oh yes, we have tried. And you guys are, one of the things that's been kind of interesting we'll talk about the other carriers as well, but with Southwest, because Denver is a big focus city for them, we've always talked about fares, like how at times when it seemed like when it first started, the fares were a little higher here, but that seems to been a little bit of parity now, isn't it? Wouldn't you say?
Yes. So the term we use in the industry is the average fare out of the city. So what is the average fare that a person is paying to go to wherever it is that they are wanting to travel to? Southwest actually, up until the last data check that we've made, their fares were actually slightly bit lower than what Denver's average fare is out on the Southwest flights out of Denver.
Okay.
There could be some slight skewing with data here and there. Denver has many more destinations, fly longer out of there.
Sure.
But looking, at the base numbers for average fare, Southwest is extremely competitive out of Colorado Springs versus Denver.
Sure. And let's talk a little bit about some of the other carriers. I mean, because we do have we've got the big carriers here.
Yeah. We have the big three. We have American Airlines flying to Dallas and to Chicago, two enormous hubs. Connect to those big hubs, visit Dallas, visit Chicago, or connect anywhere in the world from those two hubs.
Sure.
Delta Airlines flies to the busiest airport in the world right now with Atlanta. Mm-hmm. Connect anywhere in the world that you want to with Atlanta. They fly up to twice daily, depending on the season. They're also connecting to one of their Rocky Mountain hubs over the hills there in Salt Lake City. You can connect up and down the coast there as well.
Yep.
Don't want to leave out United. They fly numerous times up to Denver to connect to the world, but not only Denver. They also fly to Houston Intercontinental. They fly to Chicago O'Hare. If you want to go to Latin America, connect down south. If you want to go up to Asia or to Europe, you connect on United over O'Hare.
Yeah, it's. We are fortunate. I mean, for a city our size, we talk about being like a middleweight, in our weight class. But our airport is just first class. I really don't know of too many people that I've ever met who have said, "Oh no, I'd much rather fly out of Denver than fly out of Colorado Springs." We are fortunate that way. And Alex, there was a project that we're proud of called Elevate COS, and we want to talk about that, about what's been completed, what's been finished, and talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely, yes. So Elevate COS is a very important project for us, and it's actually a cumulative number of projects that we're doing at the airport. Some of them are being done by the airport, and then we are also partnering with SSP, who's running all of our food and beverage concessions, and Hudson, who is doing all of the retail. Mm-hmm. So all three of us are coming together, and we're making a lot of positive changes in the airport itself. And you mentioned Southwest joining Colorado Springs market, right? So if you think about the demand that was here prior to that, and maybe not even demand, maybe we should just talk about the number of in-plane passengers that were traveling through the airport, because as I think about demand, I think that there's a lot more traffic that the community can support, right? But if we talk about just the in-plane passengers in 2019, we had right around 840,000. 2025, we ended the year with about 1,230,000, right around there. So that's over a 45% increase looking from 2019 to 2025.
Yeah. Yep.
And I picked 2019 for that comparison just because it's pre-COVID.
Sure.
So back to Elevate COS. Around 2022, the airport completed a 20-year master plan. And that master plan was estimated to cost somewhere around $1.2 billion. And that's billion, right? If you think about an airport our size, that's dreamland, best case scenario, right? Not only for financial reasons, but also if you think about the cost to the airlines that operate in this market. Our goal is to be a reasonably cost airport.
Keep the costs low to the carriers.
Yes. So the Elevate COS, we currently have 12 gates. We're redoing all of the hold room area, so that's where passengers sit, waiting to board an airplane. We're redoing all of the restrooms, all of the public spaces. You're going to see an airport that is more aired, it's more modern, it has all the 2026 expected amenities and so on and so forth.
Sure.
And then as you think about the concessions, again, we're redoing the whole food court, right? So SSP is bringing in some local flavors through Brother Luck. He's going to have the sit-down restaurant in there. In addition to that, we have Smash Burger and Einstein Brothers that are going to come in, one with the burgers and the other one with, bagels and coffee and breakfast items. And then Hudson, who's operating all the retail, they modernized some of their stores. They brought in a new concept with the nonstop, where you don't actually have to properly check out.
Right.
They pick up on by weight anything that you lift up from a shelf. And then the part that I didn't mention yet is GLN, so Global Lounge Network. We now actually have a lounge in the airport also. So if you pull all of that together, all of that would be considered Elevate COS. Again,
Sure.
A lot of modern improvements. The funding sources for all of that is from grants to passenger facility charges to airport cash, all of those combined. Our goal is to get that project done somewhere by middle of 2026.
Okay, so it's close.
It is.
Yeah.
The food and beverage concessions and all of those are going to take a little bit of extra time, but the airport work should be done by June.
One of the things that people talk about with our airport is short lines and accessibility, okay? And as you guys know, we are Olympic City, USA. We are home to both the Olympic and Paralympic Committee movement and NGBs and everything else. But for accessibility, for not only athletes, but for our military, talk about some of the things that make our airport easy for people with disabilities.
Excellent question. And you're touching on the new slogan for Colorado Springs, which is travel easy.
Travel easy.
We want to be the most accessible airport and one that you can travel very easy through it.
Okay.
Right? You mentioned short lines. TSA is in the news,
Yeah,
lately.
March of 26, it sure is.
There's a lot of long lines at other airports. I'm happy to report that TSA folks, the local team, we're extremely proud and grateful for them. They show up to work every single day. We're seeing lines under 15 minutes. So when you talk about other airports that maybe 40-50% of TSA workers are calling out, we're looking at just normal call-out rates. So that's very important. But back to accessibility. From restrooms where we're making the counter heights lower, with every one of the improvements that we have made, we have exceeded ADA standards.
Okay.
We have more ADA parking spaces, again, based on the community that you had mentioned. You have to know your audience, right?
You bet.
Not just for a presentation, but even when you think about an airport.
Yeah.
We've installed a hearing loop within the hold room areas.
Okay.
So that's very important. We have terrazzo flooring. We have carpet that's easy to roll and walk on. So there's a lot of those changes that we have made throughout the airport that I think brings us to that accessible airport standard that we're looking for.
That's wonderful. Okay, thank you for all that. And I know that Wheel the World came out and did a walkthrough when you all were still in the planning stages, which was phenomenal. Is because we are big supporters of Wheel the World, and Wheel the World's a big supporter of Colorado Springs for a lot of those reasons. And then you recently had some art put up at COS, which was kind of new. Let's talk about that.
Yes. Now we have a small but great art gallery.
Yeah.
Right. I think it's very important. Either when you leave the airport, I'm just thinking about where the location is, and I know that you have seen it. It's right before you get to the TSA checkpoint. So likely as you're flying out, it's easier to see than if you're flying in, and you're likely on your way out of the airport, so you're not going to stop by there. But we're showcasing local artists. Dare I say that someday, hopefully not in a very distant future, I would also like to see an employee art show.
Oh yeah.
Where, I think that would be great.
Sure.
But absolutely, art is important. Get that local flavor of where you are, sense of place. We've done similar approach throughout the airport. Again, local food, the modern mountain look of the terminal building, and so on and so forth. So that's the goal, connect the airport to the local community.
I love that. So John, I am sure that when people find out what you do for a living, they just start in with, well, why don't we have a flight too? And fill in the blank. Tell people what you can about how do we attract and maintain routes.
Sure. So I like to say I have the most interesting job at the airport because I do get to speak with lots of interesting people at airlines, various stakeholders from the city to try to recruit and retain air service, right?
Sure.
So the process of recruiting air service is made easier if we are able to show that we've been retaining what we have already, right?
Yep.
So if I'm to go to Southwest Airlines and ask for new routes, the first thing they're going to do to check to see how their existing routes are performing, right? If we are not producing full flights on the flights that they have, it's hard for me to go out and ask for something new. The asking for the new things is probably the most interesting and fun part for me because these are all, you're taking data that's out there, showing that there is demand to fly from between Colorado Springs and City X, whatever that is. Trying to fit the right airline on that route, and just continuing to hammer away at the airlines network planning teams with the business case and showing why Colorado Springs is going to be their next best option. So an airline network planning team has 200 Johns riding them every day from all of these airports, right? And we just need to make sure that we're giving them the information that moves that Colorado Springs flight up to the top of their list. Now, what is that kind of information? It could be simply, hey, Los Angeles area. We don't have service to Los Angeles right now, but there's over 400 people a day that fly between Colorado Springs and Los Angeles each day in each direction.
Yeah.
They have to connect somewhere to get there.
Yep.
So how do I go to an airline and say, we'd really love it if you fly Los Angeles and here's why we think you should? That 400 something passengers is just the first kind of attribute that we want to share with them. We want to show them that those are going to be valuable passengers, not just passengers that are going to always fly leisure, fly that bargain basement airfare out there. We want to connect them with the local corporations that are going to be sending the executives back and forth, likely at the last minute. Airlines are a business, they want to make their money, right? So they like selling those last minute seats back and forth. There needs to be a reason for them to fly here, and these days also they need to be able to be profitable very quickly. Few years ago, airlines would wait 2 and 3 years to kind of make a final decision on a route. Say, okay, we need to give this new route some time to ramp up. So if you fly a new route, you might see half-empty flights or three-quarter empty flights. That may be okay at the beginning, but the airlines need to build traction and make some money there. These days, airlines have closed that window down. It's now about a 6-month grace period that they give. So when we launch a new route and we say to the community, we need you to use it or we're going to lose it. That is going to be the message going forward. We understand the airlines are out there to make a profit, and we moved Colorado Springs to the top of their next best list. There's a number 2 and a number 3 and a number 4. So if Colorado Springs doesn't work out, which we all hope it does, that airplane's going to go away. And then we're going to see whatever that next option is.
Well, I appreciate that explanation because, when we talk about use it or lose it, in that instance, we're really talking to residents. We're talking about people to use our airport. And over the years, I've learned about this term called leakage that you all measure, and it's really the number of people in market who leak north to go to Denver. and fly out of Denver International. And for whatever reason people do that, I get it. I think in some cases it depends a little bit on what part of town you live in. Like if you live up north, it's a little closer distance, if you will, to get to Denver. But for people who are listening and thinking about their next trip, it's okay to shop, but the allegiance, the loyalty that we're really to maintain and to get additional flights is for people who fly out of COS.
Right.
What would you say to people who are listening that are looking as visitors to come to Colorado Springs? What would your message be to them?
Fly directly into COS. Alex mentioned it early. The slogan, the motto for the year is travel easy. Denver's not the only way to get into Colorado Springs. Fly through Vegas, through Phoenix, through Dallas, through Houston, to Chicago to come here. Save yourself the headache and hassle of connecting at one of those mega hubs. Elsewhere. You will disembark the aircraft here in Colorado Springs. You'll get your rental car and be in the rental car likely within 15, 20 minutes here in Colorado Springs. That was one of the things that shocked me actually when I initially flew into Colorado Springs to interview for the role here, is how quick and easy everything was.
We absolutely, that's part of what we talk about, and we talk about the ease of parking and the cost of parking and things like that. So I hope that people listening, if you've never flown in and out of the Colorado Springs airport for whatever reason, you owe it to yourself to see why those of us that live here are so loyal and appreciative of not only the service, the air service, but the employees, the staff over there, the TSA folks, and the people who work there, they make everybody feel very welcome and very appreciated. So
we're all there to serve. Right? And community is very important to us. And you see it now with all the support that's pouring in for TSA, and then anywhere you go as an airport representative, people are excited to hear that, hey, you represent Colorado Springs Airport. And most people say, absolutely, it's my favorite airport, and anytime I can fly COS, I do fly COS. I have heard the comments about, well, I have a limit up to which I'm okay paying more for a ticket flying out of Colorado Springs. Our goal right now, something that we're continuing to focus on, is not just the ease of travel, which again, 100% very important, because you fly into Colorado Springs, you're in your rental car maybe within a half an hour. I mean, you don't have to jump on a shuttle to get to your rental car, you just walk across the street. Or if you're flying out, very short TSA lines, there's not a whole lot of distance from the time that you park your car. I mean, if you like the VIP treatment, you may as well just park valet.
Right.
And even valet is a bargain, in my opinion, if you think about the cost of parking at many other airports. But our goal is to provide you with value, right? And when I say value, I'm talking about the cost of parking. I'm talking about ease of travel. I'm talking about what the airport looks like, right? You walk into a modern airport that actually looks the part now. We have a good number of nonstop destinations. I know John is doing everything he can to add more. Again, use it or lose it. And more importantly, fly COS.
There you go. All right, in the couple minutes we've got left, we got two quick topics I want to touch on. One of them is Peak Innovation Park. Tell our listeners about, because when you come to our airport, you can't help but notice this huge building on the right side that is Amazon. And talk a little bit about Peak Innovation Park.
Sure. Let's talk about the airport overall, and
Okay.
I'm going to hop into Peak Innovation Park. And here's the reason I'm saying that's important. The airport overall has right around 7,400 acres. About 1,700 acres of that is occupied by Peterson Space Force Base, and about 1,600 acres is now the Peak Innovation Business Park. There's a lot going on at Peak. Right? You had mentioned Amazon. Amazon actually doesn't have one building, it has 3 buildings.
That's right.
And they're absolutely massive. In addition to Amazon, you see Frito-Lay, you see a lot of defense companies out there. Most recently, actually, we have a grand opening, or groundbreaking rather, this week. So Swire Coca-Cola
First Swire
is actually going to be building a bottling and distribution center there. You're talking about somewhere around 170 jobs, $470 million worth of investment.
Yep.
Recently, there was another groundbreaking for Opus, who's building a forge center there,
That's right.
So
Spec,
absolutely. So there's a lot going on. Peak is open for business, if you will, both for land sales and maybe preferably for me, as I'm thinking about it from the airport perspective, long-term land leases.
Yes. Okay. That's important for people to know. I mean, when you talk about 7,400 acres, I mean, it's massive, and it's great that it's one of the areas that, whether it's hotels, it's restaurants, there's a lot of people looking to build and relocate in that part of town. You've got a little something coming up the weekend of September 19th and 20th. Let's talk about the regional air show.
The air show, this is going to be the first year for me to be able to actually participate in that, and I'm very excited.
Yeah.
I mentioned to you that I come from Reno, so Reno, or Reno-Stead Airport, actually has been the home for the very famous air races. I think it was one of its kind in the world.
Okay.
So I'm very curious to see how the air show is going to go. I think it's very important for a community, and of course for the airport. You're thinking about aviation enthusiasts, and then also the local community that has an opportunity to come to the airport. My understanding is we're looking at potentially 30,000 people being out there and attending the event.
I know you're partnering with our friends at Sports Corp on
Sports Corp and the World War II Museum.
Yeah, that's going to be so September 19th and 20th. Be sure if you're visiting to put that on your calendar. But if you're a resident, it really is pretty amazing. Okay, so before we wrap, let's give a shout out to our sponsor of this episode, which is the Wellness Pass for Visit Colorado Springs. New year, new you. The Wellness Pass features deals and discounts to various spas, massage studios, and relaxation experiences around the Pikes Peak region, so you can prioritize your wellness this year. You can find it at visitcos.com/wellness. Okay, now you guys, we like to wrap with a couple of questions. Since both of you are relative newcomers to Colorado Springs, you will have some fun with these questions. So John, I'm going to start with you.
Sure.
In 3 words, how would you describe Colorado Springs?
Absolutely stunning.
Okay.
That's 2. And the third is just friendly. I haven't had much issue transitioning here from ultra-friendly Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Okay.
Colorado Springs and its hospitality hasn't missed a beat.
That's wonderful. Alex, how would you describe it in 3 words?
I'm going to use one word.
One word.
Home.
Home. There you go. Okay. Yeah, that's you. In a year and a half, you've adapted. That's wonderful. All right. So let's stay with you, Alex. What would you tell listeners is your favorite hidden gem in the region? Where do you like to go to just get away and relax?
I like to go home, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, to your home.
And the reason that's important, I like space.
Yeah.
And that's, I love the mountains. I like the open spaces. So I live in Black Forest, which I absolutely love that area. So that is my hidden gem. One place that may surprise you that I actually enjoy going to, and I've only been there a couple of times, but I need to go way more, which is the zoo. Believe it or not.
Cheyenne Mountain Zoo.
I don't know. I can roam around at the zoo for probably all day long.
We have a world-class zoo that this year is 100 years old. So, what about you, John? What would you say?
So I also like space. I live up in Peregrine, so northwest, right by the Air Force Academy. You'll find me at Ute Valley Park all the time. Huge, gorgeous park, yet it feels like you have it to yourself most times, following those trails, and you never know what you're going to walk up on around a corner, whether it's a deer or something maybe less desirable. But that is a beautiful park to be right in the middle of the town.
Ute Valley, absolutely. Okay. John, what would you say is still on your bucket list? What's something, maybe this summer, what is something that you and the family want to go do?
Absolutely. So I have a daughter who's coming to town for the summer for an internship, and I have yet to venture to the top of Pikes Peak. So we will be doing that. I also...
You're going to take the COG? Or you're going to take the COG? Okay,
the COG,
good.
yeah, the drive,
Yep.
we'll leave that to somebody else.
Yeah.
I've also have done this before, but I'm going to do it again, is taking, was it Rampart Range Road?
Yeah.
Over to Woodland Park.
Yeah.
Bought myself a little four-wheeler, which is nice to have.
Yeah,
And
that's
just
wonderful.
something that somebody from New York City doesn't ever really get a chance to do, right?
Yeah.
So it's that'll be fun to do again.
That's great. Alex, how about you? What's your bucket list look like?
The good news for me is I don't know what I don't know yet. So that is part of my bucket
You
list.
depend on the Visit COS website,
Sure,
right?
we're going to go with that.
Yeah.
I depend on the Visit COS website. I just added one thing on my bucket list for next weekend, which is one of those massages that you were talking about earlier. So
The stressful.
So I'm definitely going to add that. But and let me just mention, you said that the zoo is celebrating 100 years this year.
Right.
We are celebrating at the airport 100 years next year. So
Oh,
2027 is going to be 100 years.
How about that? I love it. That's great. I didn't know that. It's been through some iterations.
It has.
It
has.
Like most airports.
And it has never looked as good as it does today.
All right, so put a bow on it. John, we'll start with you. What do you want listeners to remember about this conversation?
Yeah, we want you to remember that flying out of Colorado Springs Airport is really very simple to do, very low stress, and we can only make the offerings out of Colorado Springs Airport greater, larger, more, get you more places if the community supports the flights
And
that
if
we
you're
have.
looking to fly in here, please
Absolutely.
just come in and just see it for yourself.
Save the hassle of connecting
Yeah.
at one of those big hubs. if you
Yeah,
can.
exactly. All right, and Alex, how would you wrap this up, and where would you tell people to find more information about the airport?
More information for the airport is on flycos.com.
Flycos.com.
Yes. We also have a new widget that is going to surprise you, so I'm not going to tell you about it. Go check it out there.
Okay.
But please remember, both for local community and then also for those maybe looking to visit Colorado Springs, fly COS, and we're here to serve you.
Yeah, and I would maybe wrap by saying that as much as we talk about the initial COS, we are really proud to call Southern Colorado our home. So for those in Pueblo and everywhere south, don't drive by Colorado Springs on your way to Denver. Really, we are the home for Southern Colorado. We're the home airport. So John, Alex, thank you both for being here. I hope our listeners have gotten the message of what a great airport we have.
And if they have questions, they know how to find us.
They do. Reach out.
That's it. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.